Today we're going to go over dividing rational numbers. So our first step or question on the left-hand column is what are the steps to dividing fractions? Well, if we see any mixed numbers, I'm going to suggest that we switch them to improper fractions first. Even though it's not necessary, I think it is helpful. Next, we're going to change your division to multiplication. Then we're going to flip the second fraction. So essentially what we are doing is we are multiplying by the reciprocal. And our last step is you're going to multiply the fractions as we normally would by either multiplying straight across and then simplifying, or cross canceling first and then multiplying straight across. So here's an example of the first type of fractions that we are going to see. So we are first going to divide a fraction by a fraction. So I have 1/3 divided by 5/9. So my first step, there are no mixed numbers here, so we're going to go ahead and skip that. Next, we are going to change the division to multiplication. So let's go with, I'm going to keep this one the same, change my division to multiplication, and now that this is multiplication, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal, which is this fraction flipped, right? So I am flipping this fraction to have this as 9/5. That is the reciprocal of 5/9. I just simply flipped this fraction. Now I'm going to check diagonally. So I see 3 and 9 do have factors in common. Their GCF is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is going to give me 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And now 1 and 5 don't have any factors in common besides 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and just multiply straight across. 1 by 3 is equal to 3 over 1 multiplied by 5 gives you 5. So your answer to this one would be 3/5. This is in simplest form already, so that is your answer. Next, we're going to go ahead and look at dividing fractions by fractions and whole numbers. So the first thing we want to do here is we want to take a look at this whole number, and we want to change it up so that it looks like a fraction. Well, all we're going to do is rewrite it in a sense. So to turn this into a fraction, we're simply going to put it over 1. And the reason why we can do that is because we are not changing the quantity. So 6 divided by 1 is still 6. So even though we are showing it in a different form, the value does not change. 6 still equals 6 divided by 1, or 6 divided by 1 still equals 6. So we didn't do anything to change it. We're going to do the same thing as the last one. We are dividing fractions. We can use something called keep, change, flip. So KCF, right? Keep, change, flip. So what that says is I'm going to keep this first fraction the same. You're going to only do this whenever you have division. So this first one's going to stay the same, 5/8. I'm going to change division to multiplication. And I'm going to go ahead and flip this fraction. So I am multiplying by the reciprocal, would be the actual term. Now I can go ahead and see multiply straight across and then simplify, or see if anything cross cancels. So 1 and 8, only factor is 1. 5 and 6, again, only factor. The GCF is 1. So let's just go ahead and multiply straight across. 1 by 5 gives me 5 over 8 times 6 is 48. So your final product here would be 5 over 48. Do you have any questions? Again, just you can pause the video and let me know if you're watching this in class. If not, you can go ahead and ask me later. Okay. Next, we're going to look at dividing mixed numbers. So here is where that first step is going to apply. And we are going to try to turn these into improper fractions first. And then once they are in improper fractions, we will go ahead and divide them. So as a quick reminder, to do that, you take the whole number and we are going to multiply it by the denominator. And then once we have that, we are going to add the numerator. And this I want to stay the same. So let's put that negative here. 7 by 2 is 14. Adding the numerator, so plus 1 gives you 15 halves divided by, let's do the same thing over here, where I'm going to multiply the whole number by the denominator. So 2 by 10 gives me 20. Add the 1. 20 plus 1 gives me 21 tenths. And now we can go ahead and multiply by the reciprocal. So if it helps, I would suggest drawing 3 arrows here. And then writing out K, this stands for keep, change, and change. So I'm going to keep this first fraction the same. I'm going to change this division to multiplication. And I'm going to change, I'm sorry, oh, my bad. This was actually flip, right? Keep, change, flip. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this, right, fraction with its reciprocal. That is why we are multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to flip this fraction to 10 over 21. And this is keep, change, flip. Made a little mistake there. Now that we have this, you could multiply straight across. So I know 115 multiplied by 10 gives me 150 because I just added a 0 at the end of this. And then 2 by 21 gives me 42. But then I'm going to have to simplify that. So to make my life easier, I'm just going to go ahead and simplify this now by looking at diagonally. So by looking at these two right here, I know the GCF of 2 and 10 is 2. So 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. 10 cut in half or divided by 2 gives you 5. And now I'm going to look diagonally in this direction. And the GCF of these two is 3. So 21 divided by 3 will give me 7. 15 divided by 3 will give me 5. Now that I have simplified this, I'm going to go ahead and multiply straight across. So remember, 5 multiplied by 5 would give me 25 over 1 multiplied by 7 would give me 7. Now, these were different signs, so remember when we are multiplying products with different signs, or when we're multiplying two things by different signs, your product will be negative. or same signs positive, different signs negative. Now, you could still turn this into a mixed number, but I'm going to say just leave it as an improper fraction. And that is it for this one, negative 25 over 7. This is an improper fraction, but it is reduced as much as you can. Next, we're going to go over dividing decimals, and that will be it. So, how do you divide decimals? Right. Well, essentially, we're going to go ahead and use log division. So, for dividing decimals, the same rules apply in terms of your multiplication rules, where these or same signs are going to give us positive, different signs are going to give us negative. So this is a negative, and this one is a positive. Because they are different signs, I'm going to get a negative quotient. All right, now let's go ahead and actually solve this one by using log division. Remember, when we are using log division, or when you have a fraction, your numerator is essentially going to fall, like so. And when it falls, you put the log division house around it. So it's like if you take this fraction and it's tilting over, where the 0.4 is on the outside and the 6.64 is on the inside. It tips over. Now, before we can divide, we need to go ahead and move decimal, right, to the end of this number right here. Any number that's outside of your log division, right, house here, cannot have a decimal, or the decimal has to be at the very edge. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and move it, right, by 1 place so that it's at the edge of the number. And once you do that here, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for this one. So whatever you do to the outside, you're going to have to do to the inside. So now that I move this decimal over, the 4, right, really has a decimal there, but we don't express it anymore. And because I moved this decimal one place value over, now it's a 66.4. And now that I have this, I can go ahead and start, right, actually doing the long division. So you first have to take care of your decimals. It doesn't matter if inside the long division house you have a decimal, as long as on the outside you have moved it to the very end of the number. So 4 goes into 6 one time. 4 multiplied by 1 gives us 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. Then you go ahead and bring down, right? That's 6. 4 multiplied by something has to get us as close to 26 without going over. If you need help with that, use a multiplication table, right? If you don't know your 4s. 4 multiplied by 6 is going to give us 24. 26 minus 24 gives us 2. I'm going to bring down this 4. And now I have a 24 right here. So 4 multiplied by 6 is going to give us 24. 24 minus 24 gives me 0. So you have no remainder, and this is your final answer, 16.6. Now, before I forget, if you were to enter this, right, it's actually going to be wrong only for one reason. These were different signs. Now, because they're different signs when we're dividing is going to give us a negative. They're same signs positive, different signs negative. So actually, in fact, this is your final answer. We can't forget the negative there. And in terms of this lesson, that will be all. Let me know if you all need help or if you need more clarification on something.